You are now listening to the Two Bros, One Podcast.
Bam!
Bam!
Season 2, baby.
Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Season 2 of the Two Bros, One Podcast.
That's right.
I'm one of your hosts. I'm MC Broccoli.
I am DJ Hunts.
And today we
have a new mug.
do have a new mug. We
How about
actually
that?
do. You check that out. It'll be on our website and everything. But Season 2 is coming out, and we want to try something different this season. We really want to get into
Coffee, man.
our music sense. Yeah, is it feeling good?
Absolutely, yeah.
Feeling saucy?
I'm feeling real good, bro.
Season 2 to get you going, isn't it?
I'm fired up. I'm waking up.
He literally just woke up, actually, right now.
I literally took today to like sleep in,
I know.
not realizing it's like, oh shoot, we got to do the podcast today.
Exactly.
I wish I'd woke up a little bit earlier.
Well, here we are now. But like I said, Season 2, we're diving in more about music and more about where, I guess, we're all coming from and, like, who the Brothers Grimm really is. But today, I have a very special guest with me.
Mm-hmm.
One of my all-time favorite screamers, singers, entertainers of all time. He was on HM Magazine, featured on the band Fall Star. He's an absolute great human being. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the man, the myth, the legend, the lead singer of The Undertaking, Mr. Austin Visser, everybody.
What's up, boys?
Austin
Thank
Visser,
you
my
for
dude.
having me here.
Oh my God, just want to say,
I'm
dude,
honored.
dude, I love you, man.
I'm intimidated by you guys because I know you guys are like TikTok stars and super hip. You got cool hair and stuff. I'm just like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, I got
Let's
cool hair.
do
Look
it.
at you, bro. Look at this
It's
beautiful,
not pink.
lush.
It's not pink. It's not blue.
You
So-
don't have to. You don't have to.
But it's definitely
you got
you.
three things going for you right now on just your face right now. You have
All right, tell me about
beautiful
them.
long hair. You have a absolute gorgeous beard. Very gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous
Thank you.
beard. I love it. I love a good beard and the mustache too. And you're a Padres fan.
Yes.
Heck yeah, bro.
yes. I don't know
Oh.
if that's a good thing though, guys.
That's a
I
good
don't-
thing for us.
Actually,
okay?
that is one of the first things that I will say. We're not going to talk about how bad the Padres are going to be.
we're like the Detroit Lions of baseball right now.
Bud.
Or
Cursed-
we're the Detroit Lions
cursed
of baseball.
sports town. If you ever want to know about us San Diegans, we're cursed.
We
And
never had a
The
Super
sports.
Bowl, haven't had a World Series.
Nope.
And we just lose
All of our teams,
all of
yeah.
our-
Yeah.
all of our
we
great
get good
teams.
players.
the best team in San Diego State history going into the tournament. The tournament gets canceled because of COVID.
Oh, 100%. Of course. No, yeah. Of course. It's a San Diego curse.
Cursed.
That's why the Chargers left, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Austin Visser,
but
how
I love you
doing?
guys.
with
Thanks
it.
for having me on here, and I'm stoked to chat with you boys and just catch up.
Dude, I've been looking
Heck yeah,
so
man.
forward to this, man. I've been doing like a lot of research about you, even though, side note, we do know Austin very well.
Yeah.
We love this guy. He's been dude, we love your band. We've seen you play so many times, bro.
Oh, yeah.
But speaking of bands, dude, I don't think nobody knows that we used to be in a
Yep.
band together.
Yep.
Do you know where that? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
when I came, Brock asked me to come on this podcast, and I started thinking, like, okay, how did I meet this guy? Like, how far back does this go? And
Yeah.
I think it was about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
we
It's
were in
already
a,
been that long?
yeah,
Yeah, dude. It's
My
been a
gosh.
while.
Well, so the reason I know this is because Kylie, my wife, was pregnant with Henry when I was When Roots Run Deep. And
Oh my gosh.
like, we haven't talked about this stuff a ton in person, but When Roots Run Deep, like, holds a super special place in my life and my heart, because for me, I thought that was going to be my last band ever.
Yeah.
I had grown up doing bands in junior high and high school. Post high school, we tried to launch a couple bands and do some cool stuff, but then you go to school, and then I met Kylie, and you're like, okay, I'm not going to be able to get on the road. But then we were trying to figure out how we met, and I think
Right.
it was Andrew Byrne, our buddy Andrew, and then the drummer in the band, Brian Moreno,
Yeah.
had somehow flagged me down at church at North Coast, and we're like, hey, we know you play bass, or somehow it came up that I was into this kind of music, and then that's how I met you and James and
Mark Morgan.
yes, and
Oh,
Buff
man.
man, Buff man Mark.
super
Buff man
handsome dude, friggin' ripped on the guitar, his body was ripped, and he ripped on the guitar,
Dude, straight up though. Ripped
Yeah.
all around.
But
ripped all
so
around.
so I kind of joined that band thinking okay, I'm about to have a kid, and I don't think that I'm going to be able to do this anymore. And the band lasted for 2 weeks.
Something like that. Yeah. We played 2 shows
Yeah.
and that was it.
But
yeah.
I still look fondly back on those memories, because I I played bass and I did backup vocals, which I just had a ton of I had so much fun in that band because nothing that I played was technical. Like the songs were pretty intense, and James and Mark were like playing some intense stuff, and I was just like slapping the open like drop D string or whatever. And then we played Soma Side Stage and House of Blues, which still to this day, I haven't played a show there with the Undertaking.
Really?
Yeah, they don't want us.
You know what? That's okay. You know what, dude? That's okay. Wow. The Undertaking, keep going the way you're going. I love it, though.
Soma got bought by Live Nation, and I think House of Blues is Live Nation or something. So it's harder
to know about Live
Nation.
So it's gotten harder to get local shows there, and so we just never have. So shout out Brick by Brick because we love that place.
Yes, Brick by Brick.
But anyways, like I look fondly back at the When Roots Run Deep days because like I thought that was going to be the last band that I was ever in, and then I think once we kind of just started to, I don't know, if you're listening to this podcast and you've been in bands, you kind of know at some point like bands maybe just kind of fall apart.
Yeah,
and you get busy with other stuff, and I think at some point it was like, all right, I think this thing's falling apart, and it was like, all right, like I just played 2 cool shows, like
put that in my
I'm gonna peace out on like a good note, and I'm gonna have kids, and I'm probably never gonna be in a band again. So, anyways, you got me like back into music, and I don't know, it was cool. It was super fun.
Exactly, and then we'll also post up a little snippet because I had to find that show at Soma. Because it's on your YouTube channel.
We never recorded music.
No,
but there's a couple videos
one video
of
that we have from that show,
and that one always cracks me up because I remember I put my bass head on the ground and I had nothing on my cab, so I was just like climbing up and down on the cab the entire time.
Yes, dude. Yes, and I think that was such a like you thing, man. You're such a. Even if you like seen Austin on stage before, this man goes absolutely wild. Like he says, the rules, like we don't do rules here. That's number one. Like for us, our number one rule for emo night is there is no rules.
I love that.
You do whatever you want. You feel comfortable about how you feel here. If you want to grab this microphone from me and sing it, go right ahead, dude.
That makes me laugh because I think there's a couple photos from that show, and this was a while back. I was wearing like slip-on Vans and shorts and like a collared t-shirt.
And a collared t-shirt.
And
it was the California style, bro.
But that was in a day and age,
style.
and no offense to anybody, but that was like when that was in a little bit of the era where like metalcore was taking itself like very seriously.
Yes.
And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yes.
I'm going to look like I came right off the street. I might be the homeless guy that just somehow grabbed a bass, but that was super fun. Kylie was at that show pregnant with Henry at the time.
That's so crazy, dude.
And yeah, good memories. I think it's like the grainiest footage ever.
Like the craziest, like distorted, like pixelated, but it's
who was the other band that we played with?
Oh,
they were cool.
Oh my gosh. It was. They were from the Bible College, Mikey, and Matt.
Great content, by the way, of us trying to just pull a name out of our head.
Yeah, dude. Just like,
no, but they were a cool band. We played with some. Cool
I remember that
bands
band too. I remember that song too.
Dude.
Mikey, I remember going to school.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I was going to Bible college when you guys started that stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember, first of all, I don't know, they didn't really establish it yet, but in that band, Brock was the screamer.
Oh yeah.
And Austin was the bass's backup vocal.
Yeah.
For all you Undertaking fans, this is And crazy. I remember when that happened, bro. And I was just like, man, full times to go to freaking England right now.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah.
I was in England doing Bible college and there. And I remember Brock was starting this band, bro. Brock was just talking, just so sick, bro. It's gonna be so sick. And I remember seeing that YouTube video. I was thinking, man, wish I was there.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it sounded sick. It sounded awesome. I think your intro was a little too long, but
definitely.
I don't remember anything.
They had an intro. You guys Brock had an
yeah.
intro. It was like a 5-minute intro.
Yeah,
legit 3 to 5 minute intro. It was like Lecrae.
Like something like that. It was like
Lecrae.
Both our heads
my top down. Listen to my G. Like on repeat for 3 minutes long. And I was just like,
because it was like and I was in audio.
We probably messed up so much.
I don't
probably
even remember the things I said.
No,
I don't remember even what I couldn't even tell you what song we were playing.
No.
It looks like from my perspective, it was like we went up there basically like all right, this is
Yeah.
gonna be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, let's just you play that and you play this, and then let's go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's go.
Brian was a super talented drummer. Or
Yeah.
is, I don't know if he still plays. I don't keep up with those guys. So
That's all right. Brian, hope you're good.
he's
man.
on like the East Coast or something.
he's on the East Coast.
He's got kids now too.
Okay.
Married and got kids.
I see James all the time.
Yeah.
James is around.
I love James.
I love James Moyer.
James is like the homie.
He is. But dude, we played in a band together.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say it's like, but I remember the time when you were saying this might be my last band. My wife's pregnant. I don't
Yeah.
really know if I'm good at music. Years later,
Yeah.
Here we are now.
Yeah.
Here's the Undertaking coming out absolutely swinging, bro. And I think like with the influences that, especially from that kind of music scene with, you got the Chariot, you got
Yep.
Norma Jean,
Yep.
you got like all these sick hardcore bands that like was kind of not really in the spotlight. I mean, look at music now. But also
yeah.
like I was actually doing some more research about you about that. And when in the Undertaking, dude, your writing process is absolutely incredible. I just think it's so.
What do you mean by that?
Like it's poetic, but also just
oh,
like
like you're talking about lyrics?
Your lyrics.
Yeah.
Oh man, thank you.
yeah, I love it. But
I
it's
hate,
very,
I
very
hate
poetic.
writing lyrics.
Where did you? This is gonna be a dumb question, but where did you get those influences about writing your lyrics like that?
No.
Because I did see
Yeah.
one. You said something in one of the podcasts on the one of the million podcasts that you literally were on, and you said that like, where was it? It was like. Sofan, well, I don't know his name, but Sufjan.
Uh-huh.
He said, and like,
Yeah.
but you use a lot of like he kind of like gave you more inspiration about that, like writing or
yeah.
something like that, which is crazy. But you want to talk about that real quick?
Well, one, I'm not naturally like a forward-facing person in the sense that like I grew up playing bass in a band, and I loved being kind of the guy that wasn't the lead man. I will break every like stereotype about like a lead singer because I hate it. You see all the memes about the drummers and everybody loading stuff in and the lead singers like in the corner not being around somewhere, and I'm always like, no, I'm gonna be like loading stuff in. I'm gonna be busting my butt. So
You're sitting up the drum set while the drummer's in the back, just like burning
if
one, right?
I knew how Brent wanted his drum set up correctly, I would do it for him.
I totally
but I'm
believe
gonna
that.
mess that up. So
He's a servant man. He's a good man, y'all.
So there's something like, I don't know. I don't really like being if you want to call it frontman, singer, or vocalist for the Undertaking, because I don't really sing. But like, there's just something for me in my vibe. Like I was telling somebody the other day, like I kind of become like a different person when I'm up on stage,
Yeah,
or
you
when
do.
I become like when I'm writing. And it's a little bit of a character. Like, obviously, that's me because I'm trying to be authentic in my writing style and my performance and stuff. So I'm trying to be as authentic as possible. But it's like a little bit like Bane and Batman. It's like I'm about to get on stage.
You're
and
entertaining.
I like
You gotta
I pump up
entertain
the
people.
venom, and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like becoming this different character. And actually, one funny aside is at some point when we were writing our album Funeral Psalms, my wife had seen some of my lyrics, and it concerned her because of some of the stuff that I was writing. And I was just kind of like, okay, I become a little bit of a character. Like the stuff that I'm writing is a little bit more extreme. That's like not really who I am. And so that, I don't know, I'm not really answering your question, but
That's okay.
The way that I write, and that's maybe that's what's informing where I'm going with this, is a lot of metalcore kind of has like these cliche tendencies, and I pull influence from, so you'd reference Sufjan Stevens. Carrie and Lowell is an album that he came out with, I think in like 2010 or 2011, and it's just very personal, very authentic. So I pull a lot of influences from him. And then there's another band called The National, which is an indie band, and that's another, the singer of that band is one of the biggest influences for me. And a lot of my lyrics are just gonna, it's funny that you said that my lyrics are poetic, because I don't feel that way at all. Like I'm not the Me Without You or a Listener, or even some friends of ours, Meadows. Christian is one of the best poets that I've seen recently in terms of crafting a story and using cool, interesting language and like coming up with different metaphors and stuff. And you'll see in ours, like my songs are like literally like a blunt hammer, just like smashing you in the face with just things that I'm like, okay, this is how I feel.
Yeah.
That's what makes it poetic, though. You're expressing your feelings
Yeah.
on words.
Yeah.
Big time.
And then,
And so I find a ton of so a little bit of my writing process is I have notes and notes and notes on my phone because even in the writing process I'm always writing, and so I'm watching a movie or we're podcasting and somebody says something interesting and I'm like, oh, I got to file that away later. Like this was just an interesting phrase or a interesting word that you said, and I'm like, oh, I want to try to like write that into my lyrics.
I love
so
that.
I'm always writing, but then what happens is I'll kind of come up with like the 10,000 foot concept for a song, but then I have to really dig deep and figure out like, okay, what does that actually mean? Because some of my least favorite songs that we've ever written are ones maybe that don't have like a real authentic meaning to me. And so finding that kind of diamond in the rough of a song of like, okay, this is specifically what it means. This is an experience that I had or a feeling that I had or an interaction with some people that made me feel a certain way. And that's kind of what I'm trying to pull from in the final product. And that's something that I find so fun is kind of figuring out the puzzle of like, what does this song mean?
Yeah.
And even when I'm writing, like, I'll come up with a song title, I'll write like a couple verses or choruses, and our songs don't really have structure like that. So it's like, okay, this part goes here. And then I usually write like a little synopsis of like what this song will mean. And I go through like 10 revisions
I love it.
of like what a song actually means until I get to the final edit of it where I'm like, okay, I finally figured out exactly how to articulate what this song is about. But even then, I don't love telling people what the song is about because I want the listener to apply their own meaning to it. But I also know that there's some validity to the other end of the spectrum where Low Teens, Every Time I Die, Low Teens, there's like a song on that. It's about his wife like having a cesarean section and almost dying. The baby and the wife his ex-wife almost died. And like that song is about that experience. And you like hear him talk about that and you're like, oh shit, like that's like intense.
Crazy.
And that actually informs like what I as a listener take from that. So every song that we've written has like an experience, not an experience like that, but I try to make it real personal and stuff. But yeah, dude, I freaking love writing. It's a fun outlet and it's so stupid because you're trying to sound cool or tough or funny. You're trying
to fit the image with your music, you know?
But you're trying to like articulate this like irony and some sass, but then I'm just yelling. And it's like,
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I drip a ton of pop culture references in a ton of our songs too. So that's
I noticed
where
that.
I try to pull from Ninja Turtles and Jurassic Park, like movies that I'll watch and be like, okay, how can I fit a Ninja Turtle, a cowabunga? I say in a song.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just one of those things where I try not to take myself too seriously because, again, trying to be authentic. Like I don't take anything.
And you're trying to do something
serious.
new. You're trying to do something different, you know? When you give the same product over and over again, it gets really, you know, I feel that.
Yeah.
You know, and even just from my own personal experience with me doing the comedy side and doing the social media type of things, like obviously people know me for like doing the comedy sketches and the big wide eyes things. Like, but that gets so redundant and it gets so repetitive and it's like it's the same thing over.
Yeah.
So I want to try something different. So I try to put my own voice out there, try to make my own skits or try to do whatever. Sometimes I think yesterday I even posted up something very personal, like a very personal about millennials and do you feel like you are who you are? Like that, and it's like I know that doesn't make any sense, but it's like to me, it was like that made perfect sense because here's where I started, and here's what I was told, what I was encouraged to do, and now here I am.
Yeah,
went from being wanting to be a SeaWorld trainer, you know, to like, hey,
literally
8 million, you know, social media star on TikTok and social, you know, all this stuff, and it's like,
which props to you on that, man. It's fun to see that kind of stuff, and I love
and
it.
It is fun, and it is fun, but like I feel like wanting to switch things up, you know, as far as lyrics go, like put your favorite TV show quotes in there, you know, Cowabunga.
Yep.
You know,
I mean, yeah, for us recently about that is with our shows, we like to change it up as well, especially, you know, we're an emo night. You really can't, you know, but one of our biggest things is we don't want to be like emo night LA or emo night Brooklyn.
Yep.
So we try to, you know, implement the most personal, like, what do we always say is come have your main character moment.
Sure. That's great.
Come share, like come have your like feeling. And that's why I say take this mic from you. So for us, when we implement that kind of things, we know recently we done, I don't know if you've seen a show called Shoresy. Dude, that's one of my all-time favorite shows of all time.
great.
Brock's been having Shoresy on a repeat.
I watch it
for the last 3 weeks.
Literally, dude. I don't
even watch the show, and I know the show by heart now.
That's funny.
But I'm a big fan of it, so we implement like stuff from there in our shows. But kind of go back where you're saying, you just You're
Set the
making it
tone, bud.
personable. You're making it about
Yeah.
And that's, I guess at the end of the day, it's kind of just like, dude, do like, you do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because there's no one over you that's saying like, oh, you need to be doing this, and that's
Or is
probably
there?
only yourself. Probably telling you like, oh, I need to be like this. But in reality, from an outside perspective, Austin, is when we see a show from you, is you are just from the minute you get there, it's a smile, it's a hug.
Yeah.
It's you feel welcome.
Yeah.
You feel, hey, just come hang out, hang out, or let's grab a beer,
Yeah.
or like, and then
Yeah.
when you go on your set, you can tell that you get into the mode, like you get into like, okay, I'm ready to do what I do best. God's given me this talent to scream on a microphone in front of these people and run around and have energetic forces with these people in this area, and you are really good at that, my brother.
Well,
You're
thank
so
you.
good at that.
One of my biggest fears, specifically with the band, would be that we don't love it,
yeah.
and we're
Over
just
Going through the
doing it.
motions.
Yeah, that's something that would drive me bonkers. And you go through seasons where maybe it's not as fun, or maybe a show's not as cool, so you got to kind of like manufacture that energy. But that's something for us where we know the sacrifice if we're on tour or playing some shows out of town. Like I know my wife is at home with the kids. I know I'm taking time off of work, and it's like, all right, we're gonna like take this like opportunity to have a ton of fun and make the most out of everything that we do. Yeah.
Create some stories, create some adventures,
Yeah.
you know?
The Undertaking is the most selfish thing that I do in my entire life. You're saying like there's nobody, whatever. You said something about it being for me,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And it's the most selfish thing that I do because it takes a toll on my family. It takes a toll on my work. It takes a toll on my body, like performing, all this kind of stuff, and late nights, whatever it looks like. But that's something like sometimes you have to choose to do something for yourself, or else you're going through the motions at home, or you're not feeding yourself, and then you're just bitter and bummed that you're not doing whatever. It's like you guys starting a podcast. You're like, let's start a podcast. Frick, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Here we are. We're making a podcast. And that's kind of how the band started again. When we started 5 years ago or whatever, it came down to Brent and Keith and I exchanging some text messages of saying like, hey, we used to play in high school. Like, let's play some music again. And
Yeah,
you're
dude.
like, we want to be in a band? Let's make a band.
Let's make a band, dude.
We want to record music. How do we do that? Well, I don't know. Let's figure it out. Let's play out of town. Let's figure that out.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
kind of just take each problem and figure out how to do it. And that's what we're doing.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And the thing about I love hearing about that is like some of those things that you just said, studio, who were we going to go to study? Like you took that and it wasn't a bitter thing. It was an exciting thing.
Yeah.
The process of doing it was the adventure, and the adventure of doing it was fun, and then doing it and completing it. Yeah, it had probably some rough patches, but the fact that you accomplished it
Yeah.
and did it, that's what makes it so worth like doing the whole thing. So it makes the Undertaking so much worth doing now.
We look at a lot of things as like, all right, if we don't know how to do it, let's figure out how to do it.
Boom.
If we can't figure out, let's find somebody who's smarter than us and pick their brain
Wise.
on how to do something.
Yep.
And then let's figure out how we can do it ourselves.
Right.
Not
Yes.
in a bad way. I'm not trying to cut anybody out of the process, but like even being managed by Joey, our buddy Joey Bradford manages us, and like he's so helpful because
I've heard
he
that
kind
name
of
before.
lets us do our own thing.
Yeah.
He's been at one of your emo nights. Such a legend. I love
We
that.
love Joey.
But like he manages us, but for the most part he lets us kind of do it whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
Like he really doesn't tell us like what to do or how to do it or to not do something, because I'm like, hey, like we want to do this. How do we make this happen? And he's like, try this. And it's like, all right, we're going to go off and kind of figure out how to do that. And
Yeah.
even it's just for the band, we just like love doing stuff ourselves. And so it's like, all right, let's figure out how to do this. How do we play shows out of town? I don't know, but let's figure it out. Yeah.
That's the only way, dude. I always tell people that when especially into the music industry, and that's so wise of you and very smart not to just be like, well, I know what I'm going to do. And it's like, I don't know, but I want to
Yeah.
I want to be smart with what we're doing,
Yeah.
especially when you got your family on the line, when everybody in your band has kids or have jobs.
Yep.
None of that just goes away when you go on tour. All of that's still like, the amount of times I've been on tour and been like, damn, I've paid like 3 bills right now. And like, I don't even know how I'm going to do, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But you guys are just, speaking of actually about touring, I actually wanted to get into that, especially, you say you have those like with difficulties with going on the road and everything. Like what difficulties, I guess, have you gone through, but also like you've worked out with your wife and that you guys are on like a okay, this is what's going on now.
Yeah.
Or you're leaving, or okay, I know what to do for the next month. Like, or like, okay, I'll have to figure it out.
Well,
How does that roll?
The first thing for us is we're an interesting band, and man, we started a band at like the worst time in the history of history, because we were a band for about a year, and then COVID shut everything down. So we were 2019. We're playing shows like every month. We're kind of building up some momentum,
And then COVID
COVID shut everything down, which we were able to pivot, and that's how we got with Solid State and released the album.
Great.
We were recorded during COVID and released it, but then simultaneously signing with Solid State was like the dopest thing we've ever done, and a huge bucket list.
That's a big dude.
Amazing.
Solid State Records is a huge
But then
record
also
company.
Catch 22, we release we're a very live band, like very physical performers, and like we need to get out in front of people, and we couldn't play shows, and so our album essentially falls flat on its face because like people don't want new bands that they like can't go out and
haven't
see.
seen yet.
It's kind of
like,
hard. It's kind of hard to get people into you when the only thing they see about you is through their listening to the music or seeing what they see on the social media. Yeah.
So that was hard, but then so we start playing shows after COVID opens up, and a lot of it comes down with Kylie. And so our thing is probably never, unless a huge opportunity came out, we're probably never getting on the road for 2 to 3 to 4 weeks. One, bands don't really do that anymore. You're Fit for a King, you're Devil Wears Prada, you're going out for a month, but most bands are doing 14 days, 10-day runs, kind of hitting a region for a weekend or different stuff like that. And so we've had our growing pains with our families and our jobs, but what you'll see from us is probably 2 or 3 times a year, we'll get on the road for 5 to 6, 7 days and hit like an area and then come back. We started flying out to places recently just because driving takes way too long. And by the time you take the 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours to just get out of the north side of California. And you realize that an airplane flight to Seattle will get you there in 2.5 hours. Like at some point you start to weigh the time and the energy that it takes to drive to Seattle.
Yeah. What about transferring equipment though?
We play with our friends, so then we borrow. And then that makes the show better because you're setting up one drum set. It's actually worked out.
Nice.
That's awesome.
A problem we have coming up is we're probably hitting the Midwest in the summer, and we're not playing with the friends band. We haven't quite pieced it together, so we're trying to figure out like who can we play with in these certain regions to where we can borrow their gear. We may have to rent at like Guitar Center or something. There's a couple.
That's probably where it's going.
There's a couple options, but we haven't had to figure that one out because every other time, like we went out to the East Coast and we played with a band called Meadows. They're from Alabama. We just used their equipment on the entire run. But a lot of it comes down for Kylie and I about touring is like, it's a little bit of a quid pro quo type of deal where she gets to go on a girls trip or gets to go to my in-laws have a cabin up in Big Bear. So she'll go away with a friend for a weekend, and just making sure that she's getting her own adventures. Yeah. But then the same time that we also have to still do our adventures together as a family. So we go camping a lot, and you just kind of always playing the tension on that of like, okay, like I was gone for 10 days for this tour or whatever. Like I'm going to have to, when I get back, I'm going to have to be really intentional about being home and being a good dad, being a good spouse. Yeah. And then that's all about just making sure that she's on board with it. And so a lot of the times there's conversations where it's like, hey, we're looking at going to this area at this point in time. We got asked to play this show. What do you think? And it's like, you look at the calendar and it's like, yo, this isn't going to work. And then that happens with the 4 of us in the band of like, hey, so-and-so asked us to play this. Can we do this? And then Brent's like, I'm in Canada. We got offered to play a festival in May. Cool a festival in Fresno that we would have been able to play Cool Run up and down the coast, and I'm in Mexico that weekend and Brent's in Canada, and you're like, well, like can't do that. That sucks.
That's not gonna happen.
I hate saying no to this opportunity.
Of course, yeah.
And our booking agent was like, "Is there any way you can move these trips?" I was like, "Yeah, if you want the band to not exist."
Yeah, exactly.
And even last year in the fall, or I'm sorry, in the summer of last year, we had to cancel 2 festivals because Keith had just had a kid.
Right.
And it was one of those things we booked these kind of knowing like, hey, let's see if this will work. But then when it comes down to actually booking them or planning the travel and the route, it's like you have a 3-4 month old kid at home. That's not going to work.
No.
And for us, that's more important than the adventure,
I
which
agree.
I respect
I hate.
that so much,
don't
bro.
respect it. It's the worst. Don't have kids. They're the worst thing. No,
It's all right, Daddy. That's okay, Daddy-o.
but that's part of the process.
It's part of the whole deal. It's part of life.
Being mildly okay with like saying no to stuff.
Yeah.
And then other stuff pops up where we had our East Coast run last year. In 2023, we did an East Coast run for 10 days. We took the summer off because Keith had a kid, and then we were planning our Pacific Northwest run that we do with Fall Star and the ongoing concept every couple years. And that was only going to be for a couple days. But then we ended up getting Furnace Fest, which then is like, Kylie, we have to do this. And then that's where it's like, okay, like, our families are okay because they understand how much this means to me, and this is an opportunity you like can't say no to.
Yeah,
and so that's just part of being open and able to have those conversations. And it's hard. I mean, there's times where like, yeah, we have to say no to certain things, and it's a bummer because if I was 19 and didn't have kids or a job, like the Undertaking would be on the road nonstop. We would never be home because we would be touring all the time.
You get as much as you can.
But I don't know. Joey always says like, make sure you guys are having fun, and that's like one of the things that we go back to all the time. It's like the Undertaking is a source of adventure for us, a source of creativity, and something that we do that's fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's. I mean, I'll beat a dead horse in this one, man. If you guys have not checked out any live shows from the Undertaking and watch Austin play, the next time they have a show, you need to follow her on social media. You need to go watch this band. You need to. And it's not just like you little like, la, 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 this band is kind of cool. I'm gonna play some songs, dude. It is like.
It's immersive.
It's so,
Yeah,
and
cool.
that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
It's just hardcore rock and roll, in your face, immersive, good old fashioned punk rock. That's what what you guys are doing in the music scene is what I want to happen to everybody. I want the music scene to go that way.
Sure.
Your band's not that cool. You don't need to stay. You need to stay on the stage and say, "I'm the blah blah blah."
Yeah.
It's like, dude, get involved.
Well,
Go
some
talk
of
to
that
people.
stems from the idea of like we're gonna make the music that we want to listen to, and metalcore, and I could get in trouble for saying this. It like is the pendulum has swung back to like very produced and very clean.
Yeah, big time.
A lot of layers and stuff that's in tracks and whatever. Like in what I don't care what anybody does. Like go out and create and have fun doing that. But for us, we're like, okay, we're gonna record real drums. We're gonna record real guitars. Like every sound that you hear on the album is like me making those noises.
Yes.
And then we're gonna try to replicate that in a live setting of like you might come to our show and it's not gonna be polished. It's not gonna be clean. Like a little bit of the Chariot thing. Like you listen to videos of the Chariot back in the day and like you can't even tell what song they're playing.
But you don't even know. But it's utter chaos. But I call it controlled chaos.
Yeah.
It's like there's a rhyme and a reason to it.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about real quick, talk about Furnace Fest, man. I mean, huge opportunity. And then like, I'm coming from the hardcore scene.
Yeah.
What a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Did you guys submit on a joke?
Well, we got nominated.
Oh.
Yeah. So Furnace Fest is a hardcore punk festival that's in Birmingham, Alabama. It started in like 2001, 2, 3, then went away for 20 years, and they brought it back.
Sweet.
And it's literally like the hardcore metalcore mecca. Yeah. And it's just like any band that you've ever listened to over the past 30 years, like they've probably played it or are going to play it.
Like who's some of the headliners that play at
when we were there, it was MXPX and Turnstile.
Okay.
Thursday,
Nice.
Case the Day.
Good old Thursday.
I mean, Norma Jean, like just Reliant K played this last year. Like there's like a ton of bands.
Okay.
Previous years was Knocked Loose and 68. Callous Cowboys played this past year. Like it's so sick.
Yeah.
So we last year, 2022, they do like a one spot, one band voting thing where fans
2022 or 2023?
2022 is
Okay.
when we all of a sudden we got like some pings on our Instagram of this post and people tagging the Undertaking. And we're like, yo, like, what's this? And it's like, oh, competition where fans can tag their band, like a band, and they might get a chance to play.
Right.
Cool.
And it was like, all right, let's try this. And so we posted some stuff. Hey, tag us on this post, like submit to this thing, write our name on this list. And we got into like the final 10, kind of started as a
Wow.
joke. That's what you're saying. It's a joke. It's like kind of like there is
You
zero chance.
More like you didn't take it too serious. But
Yeah.
you did it just to see if it would have
And then all of a sudden there's a phone call that's going to Keith and Johnny and Brent. I'm like, hey, I think
Wow.
this is like serious.
Yeah.
Like let's like try to do this. I think we could maybe play Furnace Fest. We ended up losing that year. So we didn't get that one. And so then it came around again this past year. So 2023 is when we played.
Okay,
and it was
okay.
same thing where we're like, all right, like this last year we like kind of had a chance. Like,
Dude,
this is
yeah.
cool. Like, this is fun. So let's take it seriously. And we were literally calling and texting like everybody, like, yo, like I don't ask much for the band, but if you could go to this link and submit and request that the Undertaking plays Furnace Fest, we won.
Yeah.
Which was like one of the coolest things that we've ever accomplished as a band, because it took our friends and our family and our community for us to like win this thing.
Yes.
And then once you're on the list of bands playing for Furnace Fest, it doesn't matter if we won a fan competition or if we were properly asked. And so even then, when we played the festival, I'm thinking like stuff to say on stage, and I almost was like, hey, thanks for voting for us if you did. But then I didn't end up saying that, because it's like, no, we're here. We're playing Furnace Fest.
You deserve to be there.
And then if I would have said like, oh, like we won a fan competition and somebody in the audience didn't know that, then they'd be like, oh, I don't want to watch these
Well,
guys.
yeah, that's
Like,
kinda lame.
Whatever. So the point is like, we're on that flyer. We're on a
Right. Yeah.
flyer with MXPX.
You're
and
on the
Reliant
bill, bud.
K.
You're on the bill.
And I mean, truthfully, man, it was the best weekend one of the best weekends of my life.
That's awesome.
For everybody involved in the band, so our friends in Meadows are from Birmingham, so we were able to stay at one of the guitarists' house. We flew in, rented our car, stayed at Stone's house, and then we played Friday. We played first on the main stage on Friday. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which was so sick because we weren't the first band of the festival to play.
Yeah.
But we were like, we played, the festival I think started at like noon, and we played at 2:00. And
That's not bad.
We
That's
played
great.
to like 500, 600 people. And it was like one of those things like, this is the biggest stage I'm probably ever going to play on. This is the most people I'm ever going to play to. And like, there's footage of me doing like a stage dive in the
Yes,
crowd. And there's just like
yes.
so many things like that where we're like, oh man, this is so cool. Let's take advantage of the opportunity. And then we got to stay out there the rest of the weekend and just enjoy the festival.
Yeah,
And I was talking to a couple of our other friends who were playing on Sunday, and they're like, oh man, we're so jealous that you guys got to play on Friday, because we're like anxious about that. And I'm even thinking as a vocalist, like if I'm like listening to Haste the Day and I'm like singing along, and
like,
it's like, oh, I blew
losing
out
the
my
voice.
voice
Yeah.
singing the MXPX on Friday night. Frick.
yeah.
And so we were able to hang out, and the staff, everybody involved with Furnace Fest was amazing. We were able to work out a deal. We were only supposed to have our merch up on Friday, and we got to know the merch people and the coordinators who were helping. And so we were able to have a booth all weekend, which we sold a fraction of the merch. Like MXPX probably sold like $1 million worth
Who
of
cares?
merch.
It's
Like,
MXPX.
Yeah,
But
whatever.
you know?
but we were able to have like a home base that we could go and like sit down and just chat with people. We were
Yes.
giving out Pokemon cards and baseball
Yes.
cards, so we were like
Yes.
having
I love
fun
it.
doing all that kind of stuff.
I love
But
it.
yeah, dude, it was the sickest thing. If anybody has an opportunity to go out to Birmingham, Alabama to Furnace Fest, I think it's in October this year. They've already announced like Evergreen Terrace.
Evergreen Terrace, man. I haven't heard that
Yeah,
name
dude.
in a minute.
They're great. Unearth.
Unearth,
They've
great.
announced 8 bands, and all 8 bands are
I gotta
like
look at the lineup.
Under Oath's playing this year.
Yeah.
Like there's some. It's gonna be great. So
Good on.
I think
Good old Under Oath.
from what we've heard from the festival, because as soon as we get our teeth like sunk into something, we don't want to let go. So we're like, hey, if you guys like want us to come out next year, like feel free. Like we'd love to play
We'll
again.
book
And
flights right
we've
now.
been told that they try not to do bands like back-to-back years. So it kind of puts us out of contention for this year. But I think I'm for sure planning on going, and I'm trying to convince everybody else to, because then what happens is that if you're listening to this and you want to figure out how to get on a festival, you tell everybody involved in the festival that your whole band is just going to happen to
Just
be
show
there.
up. Yep.
And then what happens when a band drops out the week before?
Guess
Well,
who's
that-
there? Yeah. Yeah.
Did you guys? Oh, so hey, you guys want to play on Friday at like 4 o'clock on the?
Well, it's a good thing we have all our equipment with
Yeah,
us.
wow.
We wasn't sure. Yeah. I guess we will. You know.
No, that's smart, dude. That's
Obviously,
really smart.
like
that's really smart.
we'd go to just have fun and have like a fun little weekend, but
But
at
isn't
the
that
same
what,
time,
isn't that what it's all about anyway?
Yeah.
Just having fun. This is how you guys have more fun.
Or even pre-shows, like there's a bunch of shows that happen in and around Furnace Fest like that weekend, and if we could hop on something like on Thursday or whatever. So anyways, we're trying to figure that out.
What an adventure.
It was
I
so
love
cool.
it.
I definitely have a good feeling that, I mean, dude, what we say a lot of time for Hunter and I is when we go do a first show, what do we always say, Hunter? We set the tone. We set the tone.
This is the Shorzy quotes coming out of him.
Bud, set the tone there, bud. But it's so true because they know you. Furnace Fest loves you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, dude, like, find another guy that's gonna be on the stage like Austin is. Like, I know there's probably like
I found one. You want to know who it is?
Yeah, there you go.
I was gonna say I've been trying to say that for the
last.
last couple minutes. I was like,
shut up.
You two literally have the same energy. You guys literally, you two are like the
full
last
sendies.
Full,
Yeah.
There you go. The full
send,
the full
Full
sendies.
sendies.
Like, yeah. If you ever seen us live, you know Brock is never on the stage. Brock
Yeah.
is always around, giving the mic to people.
Yep.
And if you've seen the Undertaking live, you see Austin. On top of tables, in front of the audience, he's everywhere. Like, he's not on the stage at all. Like, I love it. You guys are like screw this. We're not gonna
Kindred spirits.
Big time.
yeah, and I love it. It's great. It's perfect. Like, and I
That's
was
funny.
like,
you set the tone, and I definitely think, especially with Furnace Fest out there, dude, I could see that happening. It's not impossible. I would not say it's impossible because, dude,
it sounds like you already have a good relationship.
it sounds
with
like you
the
have a great
Well,
relationship.
some of that comes down from, and I don't understand the industry or people within the industry at all. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking to the merch people and how often they have experiences with other bands where somebody's just a complete asshole.
Yeah.
And so that's like a couple of our through lines is like one asshole in the band makes the whole band an asshole.
Yeah, that's
And-
unfortunate.
And it's true, because then how many times have you heard of like a band that doesn't get booked for stuff or people don't like because the guitarist was not a good person
Tons.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Tons.
And then so much of it comes down to just being kind. And I think that that's just, I don't know if you can't teach that to people, but like, be nice to people.
Dude.
Like, be kind. Don't be a jerk. Like, there's so
It's
many
really
little
not that
life
hard,
principles
dude.
that you could apply. And I'm not even talking about Furnace Fest. I mean, any show with
Right.
the promoter, with the audio tech, with the stage hands, with security,
Yes.
bartenders.
Yes.
Like, you have an
Yes.
opportunity to go out there and just be nice to people.
Yes.
I mean, like,
And
it's
that's
so
what
silly.
That's what I love about you, dude. Because like that's exactly the way I feel. Exactly
Sure.
how we feel, especially when we do shows, dude. The biggest thing I ever learned from the tour or from touring is, dude, there is no room for rock stars. There is no room for you to be like, you're the cool guy. It's like, bro, if you're out there showing love, being positive, putting the work in, and just being an all around, like I said, no one wants to deal with assholes on, especially, dude, in that scene, especially when you're playing a show, you're like, oh, dude, it's just like, come on, bro, like. You're blessed to be here. Like you didn't get this show because you're so like amazing and everything. Like, dude, like it's grace that you got here. Like we get to play this show. You get to do this in front of people.
We're having
It's a
fun.
blessing.
Everybody's having fun.
It's a blessing, and especially coming from like our church background. You know what I'm saying is like, if I look at it this way, God has given something to us that we can go, okay, what are you gonna do with it? And that's the biggest thing for me when you go to every show is, okay, cool. You got this like time right now.
Yeah.
You got this microphone. What are you going to say?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Well, even like Furnace Fest, they took a merch cut from us, which is like whatever. We don't make enough money to where it's like a huge amount, but a very successful band next to us sold a lot of merch, and they tried to dip before like paying them their merch cut.
Oh,
and you're like
wow.
watching this happen, and you're like, that's not cool.
No.
But I get it. Like, I know
No, yeah, I get
everybody's
it.
going to try to make their money somehow, but we're like, whatever. Like, we'll give you guys the $20 that we
Sure,
owe you.
yeah. But you did it right, and like you having that rapport like that, and like I said, setting the tone.
Yeah.
I mean, it really shows, and it really shows in your shows, and it definitely shows in how you guys hold you guys' self.
Well, thank you.
It's just humble. You're humble.
Well,
with the amount of
We're pretty arrogant. We just don't show it.
Well, you're fooling us really well over here. I'll tell you that.
We think we're the best we're the best band that's ever existed in the entire history of the universe.
Hell yeah. As you should. As you should. As you should tell yourself that, because I totally agree, because I support it. But you guys are just awesome.
I'm kidding. Obviously, caveat. Narrator says they don't think that they're the best band because they know better than that. Editor's note here.
It's coming out, and I love it. Dude, speaking of so many podcasts, actually, believe it or not, you were on Black Sheep Podcast, You Make the Scene, Native Diamond, Kingdom Core, The Alchemist, the co-found Millennial, Black Sheep. We actually spoke with Black Sheep Podcast. Are you like one of the co-hosts on this show?
Yeah,
I know you so much.
I am the host of that show. Actually, I've usurped Mason and Colin. No, they had me on right when we signed to Solid State and just became good buds with those two dudes. So if you shout out to Black Sheep Podcast through HM Magazine, Mason and Colin, just they interview singers and musicians and all types of different people on their podcast. It's amazing. But yeah, I've just become good buds with them. I met them in person for the first time at Furnace Fest.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things, like we were talking earlier about podcasts, and I was like, you want to talk about music for an hour? Like, sign me up. Like, I'll make myself available for this, and let's chat about movies, music, whatever it is, life, and let's just like bro out and have some fun. And that's just when I've been on the podcast a couple times because it's just an easy conversation and we have a ton of fun doing it. So a lot of times there'll be somebody else on there. So Justin from a band called Idle Threat was on the end of last year where we did a recap of some of our favorite albums from
top
the
5
year.
favorite albums.
And it's like supposed to be like an hour podcast, and it's like 2 hours into the podcast. And eventually I was like, guys, I gotta go.
Yeah.
I watched that episode.
Yeah,
I watched the whole episode because especially when you have an interview. Yeah, I don't want to just come on here and be like, "Hey, what did you have for breakfast this morning?" It's like, no, I definitely dove into it. I thought it was kind of funny on that kind of podcast about like how he started off with, and shout out to Idle Threat, great band, but he started off with number 4 instead of number 5.
Yeah,
and I was kind of like, and you're like, well, you probably should have made that your number 5 then. And
no, we were just messing. With
I loved it. I loved it. But on your top 5, do you remember your top 5?
Mouth Breather.
Yep.
And Sufjan Stevens, Rustin Kelly, and I think I cheated and put Better Lovers on the top.
You actually, instead of the National,
Sufjan.
Excuse me, you put you did Sufjan Stevens, and you said the National. I can't remember the album you said it was, but I thought it was so crazy that Sufjan Stevens and the National. But dude, I looked up Better Lovers.
Yeah, it's insane.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly,
we saw them at Furnace Fest. They played this year, and it was awesome.
Well,
so it's Every Time I Die musicians, plus Will Putney, who's a huge producer, and then Greg from Dillinger Escape Plan.
Yeah, dude,
they're insane,
dude.
Yeah.
God made me an animal.
Yeah,
dude.
So they're recording a full length right now. Which is always intimidating because we're recording music right now, and when you're recording, when like somebody you look up to is recording, you're like, we should just quit. They're gonna make a better album than us.
No, dude, I love that. Speaking of like recording and everything, like is it full length, EP, singles?
I legitimately hate the music industry.
I'm with you, brother.
All right.
You're doing great. I love it.
It does not reward a full length album anymore. And so right now we're recording 3 songs, and then while we're dripping those out over the next couple months, we're going to record 3 or 4 more.
I love it.
I would love to tell you right now that we're going to put out an album, but I don't know if we are.
That's cool, man.
But 3 songs though.
Yeah. So Brent recorded, we're recording this at the beginning of February. Brent recorded 3 songs on drums at our buddy Daniel's house, and Johnny just got done tracking 3 songs on guitar. I have to put vocals on there, and then Keith's got to do his part, and then we're going to send that off to Fluff, our buddy Fluff, who's going to do some tones, guitar tones, and then we'll figure out who's going to mix it, and we'll start putting those out. So hopefully by May or June, we'll have a new single out. We're going to time that up, hopefully, with some shows that we got coming up.
Cool.
But we love the writing process because it's when you get to be creative.
Yeah.
And there's no bad ideas until it is a bad idea and you scrap the song. But we try to just kind of get super creative and do a bunch of different stuff. And Yeah, it's fun. We're stoked. I'm so sad that it's probably not going to be an album, or even maybe not even that it's not going to be an album, but the way that the music industry, Spotify, etc., like it's singles, and every 2 months we got to put out another single to get the algorithm working, to get playlisting.
Right.
Like there's like a ton of stuff that goes into it.
Yeah.
Where I would love nothing more than to record a full-length album and then on Friday be like, surprise, y'all, here are 10 new songs in an album. And then it's like, well, we just wasted all of our bullets on like one surprise drop.
Yeah.
And so what we're probably going to do, talking to people who are smarter than us, is they call it a waterfall release, I think is what it's called. But what we'd probably do is release a song every like 6 to 7 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
Over the
That's
next
smart.
couple months, starting, so it'd be like June, then July, or May, July, September, November,
Right.
would kind of be the map. But then what happens is if like a song gets hit in the algorithm and starts to pop and you're getting some push on it, you then push out your other releases. And so
Because because now that people like this song, they're more likely to listen
Ride
to this
that
next
wave,
song. The next
baby.
song.
And it's about
Makes
riding
sense.
waves. And so
Yeah,
it's like, okay,
yeah.
this song actually popped really well. So, okay, we're going to push everything out. And then for us, that buys us more time to record and write. And we're always trying to figure out what our sound looks like. Like the recording process for us is always fascinating because we always it's exciting, but then we also like argue a ton and get mad at each other over like, should this be a chug or a palm mute or this chord phrasing and all this kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, it's what we do and we love it. So
And you're good at it, man.
yeah. So we got hopefully a bunch of new stuff coming out, and too, the hard part about this day and age with music is then it's very visual. So we need music videos that come out with songs, lyric videos. Like there's a ton of content that goes into each one, but that's fun.
Do you guys have a particular like producer who does music videos for you guys? Or is it different every time?
Actually, our buddy Adam Powell, he owns a company called Best Friend Creative. I know
Adam Powell.
Yeah, Adam's the
Great guy.
freaking best.
Great
so he has done. He did the 3 music videos on funeral psalms, and he did the one that we released off the EP Superstitions. He did those 4 music videos. And Adam runs a pretty successful creative company where he's doing videos for cars and medical companies and stuff.
Jeez.
And he's always kind of like, hey, if you want to film a music video, let me know, because it's like the opportunity to be creative and do something different.
And have it be done very well.
Yeah.
Have it be done,
So we've
like,
used Adam for those.
Professional. Very professional.
We are a band on a budget, so sometimes we like don't have the budget that we would wish we could give him.
Right.
So every once in a while, we're always ready to kind of pivot. And we're always thinking about like the weirdest, stupidest ideas. Again, like super serious metalcore videos, and we're like, all right, did you guys see the movie 3 Ninjas?
Absolutely.
All right.
Is that the one with the kids?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And their grandpa's
yeah,
like the ninja.
I did not watch it, but I know about it.
Okay, so there's a scene where they're like going to school and they're like riding their bikes around their neighborhood, and so we're probably gonna film a music video where like Johnny opens up his garage and he rides his bike and he comes to my house and knocks on my door. It's just a music video of us riding our bikes around our neighborhood.
That's cool.
And it's so stupid, but we think it's funny. So
I think it's hilarious. I love that kind of. I love that. I really do. I can't wait for
honestly, but
music coming out like that.
I like that. But think about your most favorite music videos ever. Like honestly, or ones that stick out to you. The one that always sticks out to me is Sugar We're Going Down Swinging. The whole antler dude.
yeah,
What the hell?
yeah.
You
Well,
know?
one, that's a great music video, but 2, we have struggled. So a lot of our music videos have been performance videos because if they're comedy, you have to do it right. And if it's not funny, then it's a bad video.
Well, that one was not so much more funny.
Yeah.
It was just more of like a storytelling of a character that's kind of hard to forget.
It was like the Wes Anderson of music videos. If you think about it.
Yeah.
But so that's something we're always trying to figure out, or like a non-performance video, which it has like a narrative of like somebody staring in a mirror and they're like angry,
Right. I
like
mean,
numb.
or
I've become so numb. Or crawling in the
or the one I've noticed every metal bands do right now is they're in the white room with just the black and white and just their band playing.
Yep.
I think there's like several bands that have like the same.
I think every band has like one music video, at least one.
How many different ways can you film a band playing? Like again, we're such a visceral, physical band that I like the playthrough videos because it shows us moving. And in our music videos, we try to do moves that we'll do live. So we're not like doing these crazy backflips that then you're like, oh, the Undertaking does backflips, but then they didn't do it when I saw them live.
Yeah.
But we do stupid stuff like, okay, instead of like a normal big room where it's just a static camera, let's clear out my old office at the church and like all stuff us in there into like a space that's too small for us to be. Or at my parents' house was the last one we did where it's this big room and it was real bright. So kind of trying to play around with like the locations of stuff. So
absolutely.
That's good.
Austin, about wrapping up here.
I don't want to. We could talk forever.
Dude, we could talk for hours, man. This is a great first guest.
Great
dude.
Austin
seriously. Is our first guest for this season 2 of the Two Bros One podcast. Austin, look at that camera and tell people what you want them to know.
Oh man.
Tell them what, on this last note, what do you want people to know? It could be about anything. Doesn't have to be about your band. Doesn't have to be about anything about life. We always say positivity is the activity, gratitude is the attitude.
I'm trying to pull like a super like deep philosophical point. And like, all right, guys, listen. There's some problems that should be solved. Some problems need to be solved, and some problems are attention to be managed. And knowing the difference between the two.
You got me covered, bro. That was great.
Keep going. No.
Yeah.
That was good.
What's up, guys? My name's Austin, and you're listening to my philosophy podcast today. Thanks for having me on, guys. I freaking love just podcasts. I love what you guys do with your emo nights. I love what you're doing with this podcast. You guys have just a dope energy anytime you come to shows. I think last time I saw you was when we played with Kane Hill, and you introduced me to the drummer.
Yeah.
You're just always
brick by brick, right?
Yeah, and you're just always looking to connect people, and I love that. So I appreciate you guys having me on the podcast. The two most important things for a podcaster or a band is if you're listening to this, make sure you subscribe to their YouTube channel, like their podcast, follow them on Spotify, share this episode. And for us as a band, if you want to go to @TheUndertakingRocks on Instagram, click the follow button, and then go to our Spotify page and click the follow button on that. That would help a ton, okay?
Listen to their freaking music!
And then once you become a fan of us, you can buy a shirt. But I just need you to follow us on our thing because the most important metric that labels look at, that promoters look at, that festivals look at, that booking agents look at is Spotify monthly listeners. For better or for worse, that's the best thing you could do. So even then, if there's another band that you listen to, try to listen to them once a week, every month, because then that helps their monthly listener number stay where it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
I could continue ranting about the music industry. Same thing with the podcast. I'm sure it's even more complicated with trying to get your guys' stuff and whatever.
But like you said, if you're not following The Undertaking, also buy this beautiful album. This is Funeral Songs by The Undertaking. If you don't know, now you know. Get involved. Be on Spotify. Follow The Undertaking. Go see their next show.
When is your next show?
We're writing right now.
So not for a while, everybody. It's not going to be a show for a while.
We're probably trying to do something at Poorhouse. Actually, this is fun.
Heck yeah.
Oceanside local show.
We're probably going to try to do something at Poorhouse in Oceanside and film a music video. So it'd be one where it's like, hey, everybody and their mothers, bring all your friends. Let's pack this place out and go crazy.
And you heard that here.
Yeah.
If you heard that here.
We only have like 20 or so more of those records too, and then it's sold out. And that'll be Solid State would maybe be happy with us finally if we sold out of those records.
Guys, everybody,
there's only a couple more of those.
Buy these records. Seriously, download. Austin, thank you so much for being here and being a great light, bro. If anything, I want to say, keep being you, dude.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
An amazing brother. You look incredible, especially with your beard and everything. But on the other note is, keep spreading that light. Keep being positive, man. You know, you're doing a really good job at it. We'll support you until the day you don't want to be in a band anymore.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Also, we got something for you too.
Oh, that's right. Here you go as well.
Oh,
from
you guys.
us. It is a to Brothers Grimm hat for you and a Brothers Grimm sweater that we just got
Did
in.
you get that embroidered?
Yes, we did.
The front's right there. That's embroidered in the back. You have like the big logo on
Where'd
the back.
you get that embroidered?
Shopify.
Printful.
Believe it or not, it's funny you say that because if you want to buy those, well, you can buy that and the hat and this hat.
You can even get in different colors.
See, you can totally get in different colors and this shirt on
I love that.
our merch with the Brothers Grimm
.store.
.store.
The Brothers Grimm .store.
Matt will put it up right here again like we do in every episode. But that is for you, my brother. Thank you again
guys.
for being here. Dude, we love you, man. I'm MC Broccoli.
I'm DJ Hunts.
And this is Austin.
From The Undertaking.
And we love you so much. Have a great day. Have a great week. Positivity is the activity. Gratitude is the attitude.
See you on the
Peace.
next one. 3,
Set
2,
the tone.
Yeah, set the tone.
Set the tone. 3, 2, 1. Set the tone.
Set the tone, bud.